Coming up on Network Africa, Guinean President Alpha Conde announces March the 1st for a constitutional referendum. Malawi's President Peter Mutharika says he will contest a court ruling that overturned his election last May. Plus, Algerians continue rallying for a 50th week of anti-government protests. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Layo Adegoke. We begin in Guinea, where President Alpha Conde has chosen a date for a controversial constitutional referendum. Despite protests across the country, Mr. Conde announced that the vote on the constitution will be held on Sunday, March the 1st. The referendum plan had been opposed on grounds that it could pave the way for President Conde to seek a third term in office. Several protesters have died in various anti-government demonstrations. Well, the opposition has said it will boycott the March referendum, but presidential advisor Suleimane Keita says the vote will go ahead regardless of an opposition boycott. Protests have been taking place in Guinea since October 2019 over concerns that President Conde, who is 81 years old, plans to reform the constitution to stay in office for a third term. Malawi's President Peter Mutharika plans to challenge a court's decision to overturn his 2019 election victory. A spokesman for President Mutharika says he would lodge an appeal with the Constitutional Court. After 6 months of hearing, 5 top judges on Monday ruled that he was not duly elected, citing enormous and widespread irregularities. The judges have also ordered a fresh poll to take place within 150 days, but Mutharika is to remain president until the new election. Malawi's governing Democratic Progressive Party has urged its supporters to also remain peaceful. Well, in the meantime, main opposition party members are celebrating the Constitutional Court's ruling to annul the May 2019 presidential election. The opposition leader Lazarus Chakwera told thousands of celebrating supporters that the verdict was a victory for democracy. He came a close second to Mr. Mutharika and went to court alleging fraud.
There was a carnival-like atmosphere on Lilongwe streets as jubilant opposition supporters welcomed a constitutional court decision to annul Malawi's 2019 election. Mavuto Firi is one of those celebrating.
More fire, judges. We respect you, our judges. Wherever you are, just know that God loves you and God loves Malawi. We do not want thieves.
President Peter Mutharika's victory was overturned by the court after it said the vote had been seriously compromised by irregularities, such as result sheets with sections blotted out or altered with correction fluid. It had been challenged by Mutharika's rivals, opposition leader Lazarus Chakwera and Vice President Salus Chilima. A new poll has been ordered within 150 days.
Initially, we all knew that the election was a flop. As voters, we knew it was rigged. And with this court ruling, we are more than happy to vote again.
Mutharika has been president since 2014 and in his first term oversaw infrastructure improvement and a slowdown in inflation. Not everyone, such as street vendor LUKA BANDA, agrees with the court's decision.
The way this ruling has been decided has frustrated me. Things were slowly stabilizing and picking up. But because the court has ruled for fresh elections, I have no problem. I will vote again.
Critics accuse Mutharika of nepotism and failing to tackle corruption. He had pledged to crack down on graft and revive the economy in the second term.
Let's get more perspective on this story. Joining us now on the program is an African affairs analyst, Lester Wilcox. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Now, what do you make of Malawi's court ruling, annulling a general election? What does this say about their politics?
Well, it's surprising to everybody. Every analyst wouldn't have seen it coming because in Africa it's difficult. We had only one experience so far, which is in Kenya, when the presidential election was annulled by the Supreme Court and a fresh one ordered. So coming from Malawi, it was surprising. But when one looks at the challenge, those that made the challenge against the election, against the result, and look at the closeness of the results, because the president only scored about 38%, and his rival scored about 35%, while the third scored 20%. So it was a close call. And then when they challenged the case in court, the court had some reasons to find merit in the challenge, and so it came as a surprise. But it is not unexpected that things like this could happen, and it's good as happening in Africa.
And President Mutharika, as expected, is not taking this sitting down. He's vowing to challenge the court's decision. How likely do you think he can succeed with that?
Well, nobody can say for sure what an outcome will be. The greatest danger in every situation is in doing nothing. I know that Malawi have a two-layer court system, whereby which is almost as typical to Nigeria, copied after the British system. So there is room for challenge. The president wouldn't want to go down without a fight in these instances, but I do not know the extent to which there is deep-seated resentment about him within the judiciary, or the evidence that he might adduce before the appellate court that he wants to appeal the decisions to. Remember, this election was held since in May, and this case has dragged on. And if you have under 150 days to conduct a fresh election, I think he has an ample time to challenge. So he needs to give it a try. But like I said, the closeness of the votes scored by each of the candidates shows that it was really a close call, a close election, a strong election. And so I would think that he has a chance to protest, to challenge the ruling. But I wonder what the outcome would be.
Yeah, like you said, it was indeed a close call. A fresh election has been ordered, however, in the next 150 days. But there are fears that the election rerun could provoke further instability. Do you see this happening?
Yes, I do not. I see it so. I am not oblivious of the fact that in Africa, elections are always violent prone. I am not oblivious of that. And when elections have been concluded, and then there is going to be a rerun. Remember the Kenya experience. It was not palatable, to the point that the opposition candidate has to withdraw. So it's going to create instability. Certainly, it's not going to be as smooth as the first election was, because right now everybody wants to dig in deep and to know how to plot their graph and to plot their system. So there is the room for instability, and that is where everybody needs to watch it, especially the security agencies in Malawi needs to be at their A game, so that things like this do not degenerate to a kind of situation that is untoward. But I foresee some element of violence, and I pray that this does not this does not take place.
Yes, we do hope that there won't be any violence. Just before I let you go, all right, seems like we've lost Alistair Wilcox, African Affairs Analyst. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Let's move on to Guinea-Bissau. Well, President Peter Mutharika may not be so lucky in his country. However, Umaru Sissoco Embalo is. Guinea-Bissau's Electoral Commission has once again confirmed him as the winner of December's presidential election runoff, following an unsuccessful Supreme Court challenge filed by his runner-up. Mr. Domingos Simões Pereira, who lost the runoff against Mr. Embalo, said there had been substantial fraud, with votes cast surpassing the number of voters in some area. But the court rejected his appeal last month. Regional bloc ECOWAS intervened last week, urging Guinea-Bissau's Electoral Commission to verify the poll results. On Tuesday, the electoral body said Mr. Embalo had won 54% of the votes against Mr. Pereira's 46%. It's the same vote share it had announced the first time around in January. Now, Kenya plans to repatriate its 85 students who are stranded in China's Wuhan, the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak, and quarantine them on their return home. The country's health administrative secretary told Parliament's Health Committee that the evacuations will be done once China lifts the lockdown in the city. It is not clear how long the Wuhan lockdown will last, but several countries have been evacuating their citizens from the city. Egypt is the first African country to do so. The World Health Organization has said it is concerned about Africa's preparedness to handle a confirmed case. On Tuesday, Mr. Michel Yao, who's the emergency response manager in the region, said many African countries have weak health systems. Dr. Yao also noted that there are only 6 laboratories in the continent with the capacity to test for the virus. They are in Nigeria, Ghana, Madagascar, Sierra Leone, Senegal, and South Africa. Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune has pardoned more than 3,000 prisoners serving short sentences in the country as he tries to garner support after months of political unrest. There have been hundreds of arrests of those protesting against the ruling establishment. President Tebboune was elected in December in a vote opposed by a large protest movement which wanted the entire ruling class removed. However, this latest move has not stopped protesters from demonstrating. The protest is in its 50th consecutive week as thousands of Algerians continue to demand the departure of the ruling elite in Africa's largest country. Let's go to Libya now, where UNICEF is saying thousands of children, including refugee and migrant children, continue to fall victim to the North African country's violent war. According to the UN, they estimate the fighting in Libya has displaced more than 150,000 people, 90,000 of whom are children.
The war in Libya has taken a toll on education, shutting down 200 schools, depriving more than 200,000 children of their tutelage. Khalifa Haftar's self-styled Libyan National Army (LNA) has been waging an offensive to take control of Tripoli since April, the latest escalation of a conflict between rival camps based in Tripoli and East Libya since 2014.
The situation of children in Libya is dire. The conflict has displaced over 90,000 children since April. It is very important that leaders, politicians, decision makers, militias, all those who have influence, put the interest of the children of Libya first. If we do not put the children of Libya first, then the traumas that they are suffering from right now will have a massive impact on them, with them being removed from schools, losing out on education, and sometimes being forced to enroll in battles.
Last month, 3 children were killed, 1 seriously wounded after a shell fell on a residential area in the Habba al-Badri district. UNICEF is calling on leaders and politicians to put the interests of children first and provide them with the necessary opportunities to live healthy lives.
We need to give opportunities to these children here in Libya, and there are opportunities. Protect their rights, provide them with health, provide them with water and sanitation, and let them go back to school, because it all starts with education.
Foreign powers had agreed at a January 19 summit in Berlin to shore up a shaky truce in Libya, but rival factions have failed to stick to ceasefire agreements, and countries supporting either the eastern-based commander Khalifa Haftar or the internationally recognized government headed by Fayez al-Sarraj did not stop supplying weapons.
The arms embargo imposed in 2011 has been violated incessantly since that date. The Berlin Conference called for a better respect of this resolution. What I told the Security Council is that this respect is not there, that we have evidence of new equipments but also new fighters, non-Libyan fighters, joining the two camps. Therefore, we believe that the arms embargo is being violated by both parties, and therefore by the countries who are violating as the source of these equipments or the source of these new fighters.
Foreign ministers of countries seeking to broker a peace agreement in Libya are due to meet again in the middle of March.
Still to come on the program. The United Nations calls for urgent humanitarian assistance to avert an acute food insecurity situation in Somalia.